Caught fiancé doing 3 guys right before wedding and now she begs to talk it out and says she's not guilty, but I have evidence. The early morning of my brother's wedding I heard a ding from her phone. Saw it was from a friend of hers that we had prospected as potential 3 guys partner a couple weeks prior. I did what I had never done in my life until that point. I looked/spied on her phone to see if she said anything about it to him. I scrolled down through their texts and came across one from him that was absolutely paralyzing, something along the lines of "I'm not the type to just hit it and quit it and not talk about it." I figured out a lot in a short amount of time through their texts, and also of texts to her best friend and mother. This apparently happened 3 weeks prior, just days after we had put money down and set a date at our wedding venue. She invited him over to hang out at 9 p.m. I'd been told from her previously that their relationship consisted of being good friends on and off since age 4, and platonic beyond one attempted kiss in high school. She was at her mother's house in her hometown for something in prep for a cousin's wedding she is the maid of honor for. She had told her mother that he was coming over to hang out for a bit and thought nothing of the ordinary. In the text she had lied to him saying she told me about everything. She lied talking with her mother and best friend that he and her had only kissed, and that she'd told me about everything when she had not. Both of us had responsibilities for brother's wedding. I was the best man and DJ, and she was the officiant. While sitting in that hotel bed I decided to get my journal and start writing to vent while I determined what I was going to do. I decided that I was going to do everything in my power to make the best day possible for my brother and his wife and suck it up before I confronted her when we got home the following day. I literally put on an act that entire day to be cheery, not make a scene. That whole day was a torture chamber, from her saying what was prepared being an officiant to all my family coming up at different points throughout complimenting her performance and being exited for our wedding the following year. Being DJ throughout helped pass some time, but I ended up getting too drunk and got pretty sick in the wee hours of the night, obviously because of what was going on. We had driven to the wedding separately, and the next morning I got a head start to write a letter out to her that I'd confront her with when she got home. I had decided that I was wanting to reconcile for 2 main reasons, whether reasonable or not. Our relationship has spanned 9 years, and that 5 years previously I broke up with her because I was having sort of a mental breakdown/shift and needed a break from the relationship. I don't think I handled that situation/break for the 3 months that year the best. So somehow I think I put the idea in my head that she deserved another chance like she had given me because of how heartbroken I left her from the previous break/breakup. Apologize if this is confusing, my mind has been pretty muddled the past 4 months. I made demands in the letter. Among them was to apologize to her mom and best friend about lying to them. That we'd find a couples therapist and go as soon as possible. Another demand was that I'd confront the wife of the friend she slept with if he didn't reveal the truth to her himself. I needed to know exactly what happened, if this was the only time, and why the hell she hadn't told me what happened. Going into the confrontation, I wasn't 100% sure that I was gonna still move forward saying I wanted to stay together. I had a couple scenarios in my head. If she avoided the conversation, left, or wouldn't explain everything, I was done. But if I felt she was authentic and followed through with demands, we'd at least be on thin ice for a bit until couples therapy. When she got home I immediately confronted her, sat her down, and had her read the letter. After reading a couple lines she tried to divert. "Can we talk about this?" I didn't concede and said, "If you have any respect left for me, read what I wrote, and then we can talk." A page in, she started bawling and crying her eyes out. And that continued through all 6 pages. After she got herself together I asked the couple direct questions and demands. It had only been the one time. He was venting about how bad his life had been lately, no intimacy from his wife for 6+ months, 2 DUIs, lost job, and then came onto her, and she eventually had reciprocated. No protection was used. I asked about the 3 guys idea. She was using the 3 guys idea as a way to feel less guilty about cheating. Yeah, I know some incredible logic there. The reasoning of why she cheated was not really logical either. She said he was really vulnerable with her in that moment, when to me it just sounded like he was saying how much his life sucked and she felt bad for him. She said she held off telling me because I had previously told her cheating was an ironclad deal breaker, and that she was talking with her therapist getting her affairs in order if I broke up with her. I originally wasn't going to have her bar contact with him, but 2 weeks after I confronted her, he told everything to his wife and cut all contact with my fiancé. In addition, his parents cut contact too, who she was good friends with for most of her life. That day I got a FB message from his wife saying my fiancé had cheated on me with her husband. We had a long conversation about everything. She was kicking him out for an unspecified amount of time, and having their 2 kids stay with her. It was relieving in a way talking to someone going through the same thing as myself, and I had agreed with her for them to have barred contact. For 2 months after the confrontation, things went well. We were very open to each other, talked more, were more intimate, did more things together, and started couples therapy. But it didn't last, unfortunately. She revealed in couples therapy that the idea of a break/separation came to mind recently, and that she might need a break to try to understand why she did what she did and whether she truly wanted to get married, see a future with me. A week after that, she confronted me saying she wanted to move forward with that, and would look for a relative to stay with. For a 2-week period she talked with relatives and eventually went to stay with her sister. She's unemployed at the moment, which I believe attributed to why she needed to figure some things out on her own. Another red flag of mine is how obsessed she has gotten about astrology lately, like she's lost in it or something. Even though I was extremely frustrated with this situation, I granted her that wish. The last 3 weeks in this separation have been pretty up and down, but I think I've come to terms that I'll be okay if she doesn't want to move forward in our relationship. On my side of things, while being apart, I've reviewed everything so far and can't get past the fact that the cheating happened just days after we reserved a wedding venue. I know I didn't deserve any of this, and am still licking my wounds. I also just hate how she's the one that's been in decision mode on whether if she wants to stay or not right now. I surprisingly haven't been suspicious or untrusting at all that she's cheated on me any other times with him or anyone else, but that could just be tunnel vision cause I'm stupid and somehow don't currently have major trust issues. I've had some good support from a couple relatives and close friends, and have been seeing my own therapist for the last 3 months, so I at least have a good support system currently. A cheating partner is something someone should never have to go through, and something I personally definitely didn't prepare for, and am just doing the best I possibly can given the current situation. If this doesn't work out, I know I will be okay. I blocked my GF after she started asking another dude for his pictures. So we met 3 years ago online in April, and we fell in love with each other mostly due to having similar values. In July, we both found out she has a chronic heart illness. While it was a shock experience with chronic illnesses in my family, my mother being a cancer survivor and having locomotor disability since I was 10, and my grandmother having ischemic heart disease, helped me empathize with the situation and offer her emotional support or time and space to heal, depending on the time needed. I understood that, being not a psychologist, I'm not entitled to give her advice, but I can listen to her and support her, should the need arise. We were still intimate until the same year in September, when she said that, while she cannot love anyone anymore, she still wants to see me not just as a friend, but rather an angel. I asked her if she needed space, or if I caused pressure, and she said that she wants me to stay. So I did, and everything was alright in the sense that we would support each other emotionally, and we would both take our final high school exam. We still felt affection for each other, and she would sometimes say I love you, despite her decision before, and I would reciprocate. This was until February 2020, time until she became increasingly intimate with me via texts, and said she was in love with me. I remember I sent her a selfie after she wanted to see a picture of me. She then asked if I ever thought of growing a beard, and consequently I gently explained that I cannot do as such, and that I have to shave every 2 weeks because my facial skin is sensitive. Her immediate answer was negatively, surprised, "Oh okay," so I asked if this was some kind of deal breaker, to which she answered no. In those days she would say things such as "Wait, what? What are you talking about?" If, after she, rightfully, told me about some family issues, I offered to listen to her if she needed to. The following months she would remain distant and passive-aggressive. I reread the texts in the old phone. We talked 3 times in 9 months. I reached her twice, and she once told me that I have to take care in a quite cold tone. Evaluating this behavior, and trying to find answers to this without success, I blocked her on WhatsApp and Facebook in December, and went no contact because of the confusion. Although why I didn't block her phone number is kind of a mystery to me. I kept praying for her well-being, despite still being confused and felt pushed away. After another few months, somewhere between December and June this year, she pursued a relationship with someone who, according to her later confession, thought had the same values as her but ended up cheating on her. Despite the fact that she was told that the guy, around 10 years older than her, was toxic and neglectful, none of them ended that relationship when they noticed things didn't work out. But when she found out he cheated, she went into a coma. Shortly after the coma incident, in very late July, she tried to get my best friend, who happens to live in the same town where she studies, for her to reach me, despite the fact that I blocked her 6 months prior. She then texted me via SMS telling me that by trying to distance herself she wanted to do me good, but she now understands that it wasn't a good thing. She apologized for telling my best friend to ask me about her and for not communicating to me, but she said she wanted to protect me since she knew the situation with my mother. Now, I did have some inner questions about this apology, like why use the context of my mother's illness like this? Even if she probably didn't want to put me in emotional trouble. If that was the case, why wasn't it possible for her to clarify in any of those 2 years, without even needing to explain herself, just express her need to distance? But when she said she saw me while in coma, I was both worried because of the coma and impressed that she reached out, so I accepted it for what it was and didn't express the questions. Personally, I believe that still having feelings for her was a contributing factor too. Some days thereafter she said that she, as well, still loves me and consequently entered into a relationship again with both of our intentions. She was insisting that I stay and became extremely apologetic for not communicating. I visited her a month and a bit later in her town. Now the date itself was more amazing than expected for both of us, including sexual interaction. However, right when I went aboard the train home, I suddenly felt an extremely unpleasant feeling, like a cloud of immense volume and pressure pushing on my chest, that disappeared slowly the more I was approaching my hometown. Meanwhile, on the same day of my departure, she had to visit a relative in another country. Also said that her father cannot see pictures of us on Facebook, since he would see them. Okay, strict parents are a thing, so I wouldn't disrespect her boundaries. She again became distant, suddenly, but I thought at first that she might not have the emotional bandwidth to talk much since she was probably working. That, however, was weird, since I very rarely heard "I love you" from her, somewhere around once in 3 to 4 days, while before that she would say that 10 plus times a day. Took hours to answer texts, and she said that some things are not as they should be, so tried to give her time and space. However, she was super active on social media, and after 2 weeks or so, she put a picture on Facebook with a movie scene that said "I love your soul." Naturally, since we were in a relationship, I thought it would be normal to comment on that post, and so I did, with a GIF that essentially said the same thing. As she saw the comment, she deleted the whole post. When I asked her if there was something wrong, either in her life or with what I did, she didn't answer at all. On 15th of September I sent her a video collage and wrote her a birthday wish in private since it was her birthday, knowing what happened to the post. She only said that she thanks me for the kind words, but nothing about the video. When I asked her if she needs more time and space from me, or if she needs to vent since she was extremely susceptible to internalize things to her health's detriment, see the coma incident, she texted 3 days later, with, quote-unquote, "I went to the hospital, and that's how I vented." Now I didn't expect her to be particularly kind in expressing such a situation, but her using my words against me felt really weird and hurting, so I began thinking of a discreet way of drawing the line due to the passive aggressivity and lack of communication after she felt better. Of course, I made it very clear that she is not at fault for what happened to her, but that getting PA again is not okay. When I did so, she explained that she decided to move abroad, and that she converted to another religion, not going to name it because I have nothing against people from any particular religion, when she found out what happened to her health. She apologized again, and said she had no excuse since she knew she hurt me. I again accepted the apology, but told her I can't continue like this, and she texted me after that with things such as "You are an absolute angel, take care of you sweet soul, and your mother, sweet soul." That, while endearing, felt incredibly confusing due to the fact that what she said was different to how she applied it in the context of our relationship. Due to that I felt extremely drained physically and emotionally for 3 months. And, after visiting the psychologist who said that the only mistake I particularly made in this relationship was that I have to select my partner better than that, I blocked her again, and felt like I only had around 1% of that drained state. But I do sometimes think. I don't blame her for what happened and am grateful for this experience, although I would certainly not repeat it. She seems to be a well-intended person. However, I sometimes wonder if I genuinely was the toxic partner here, and if so, what can I do to not remain like that in future relationships? Thank you very much. My wife had 2 one-night stands and was planning to cheat on me with her coworker. Now she is asking to open our marriage. My wife, 37F, got a new job 4.5 months ago. She also made some new friends. I, 36M, didn't really like them. They were all hardcore feminists, professional victims, SJW types. They are women who will yell at you for opening the door for them. Or not opening the door for them. You can't win either way. In the beginning I sort of laughed it off, but during the last 2 months I noticed some disturbing changes in my wife. We have been married for 11 years and have 2 kids, 10F and 8M. It got worse and worse. She would accuse me of all kinds of nonsense, like I was born evil because men suppressed women historically? Say what? Whatever I did for her, things she would normally appreciate, was all of a sudden reasons to have a fight. It was all nonsense. I would try to be patient. These arguments would usually end with me saying something like, "But I haven't done anything bad towards you? The only thing I am guilty of is loving you?" It would usually send her murmuring. Then the next day she would be back trying the same thing again with slightly different arguments. Then about 5 weeks ago I got this sharp gut feeling that something was seriously wrong. She came back late at night without telling me she would be back late. I couldn't reach her phone. She was rather drunk and she acted distant and cold. The next day she would just be dismissive and tell me I was being controlling, that I read too much into things. This happened a few more times. I tried to snoop on her phone but didn't manage to find anything definite, but I suspected she had deleted a lot of her messages. I did find a thread with one of her new friends. They were discussing how she would approach me asking me for an open relationship. I immediately knew what my instincts were telling me: she was cheating. In the thread, my wife said she would talk to me about it on what is now the second Monday of December. My kids are with their grandparents to celebrate Xmas. We were scheduled to both join them today. So anyway, she tries to start this conversation during breakfast, like it's just a thought out of the blue. To ask me what I think about an open relationship? Luckily I was prepared. I was already recording. I had been reading a lot here on Reddit, and I knew there is really no way of saving this. My best possible outcome is to get out of this with some sliver of pride and self-esteem intact. From here on out it's all about protecting myself and the kids. I didn't scream or yell, I just went directly into jaw-clenched interrogation mode. She was all cocky up until this point, but that evaporated immediately when she saw the look on my face. Me, who is he? She, what do you mean? Tries to look innocent, like she doesn't understand. Me, if you want to have this conversation with me, don't treat me like an idiot, and at least you can be honest. If you can't be honest, what's the point of this conversation? She, what do you mean? Me, if you lie to me now, we cannot have the discussion you want to have about our relationship. I can tell that you are hiding something, it's obvious. So who is the guy you are ducking? She, I am not. Me, oh my god, it's more than one. She, Me, don't. Just don't lie. You have just totally destroyed my trust in you. I can tell you are lying. Either you are honest and we talk this through, or I divorce you. Our marriage ends right now, no arguments, no discussion, no nothing. Just divorce. Do you understand? She, but. Me, say it. Do you understand? Do you understand that, if you lie, I will divorce you? Say it. Do you understand that I already know a lot? I can read you like a book. If I catch you lying, we are over. Tell me you understand. She, I understand. She proceeds to tell me about 2 one-night stands while out with her friends. I ask about their names. if they are married, if she wore protection, etc. They are both married men with kids. Then she tells me she is planning to sleep with a colleague at work, and that she intends to pursue this since it's good for her, and that I don't have any right to control her. What the duck? I ask about the colleague as well and get his name. His wife name. He is married, but according to her, in an open relationship like she wants us to be. She continues that she will set me up with some of her friends, one of them are really keen apparently. What in the actual duck? I have seen this friend and I wouldn't touch her with a barge pole. I tell her I am not interested. I ask for her phone and she shows me the pattern to open it. While she went to the bathroom, I locked myself in my office. She freaks out, and while she was banging on the door, I ran recovery software on the phone for deleted content and ended up with lots of painful evidence 30 minutes later. I also installed a spying app from an online service. When I came out, I gave her the phone and told her to leave. She argued a lot. I didn't really respond beyond single-word responses. She didn't seem remorseful at all through all of this. She was yelling at me that I was acting controlling, holding her back like men always held women back. That I never loved her, that she had every right to do this, that she expected me to just accept this, that it wasn't a big deal, etc. I didn't argue back. I hardly said a word actually. I just packed her stuff while she circled yelling at me. I ended up at the front door where I just stood silently until she ran out of steam. In the end, she reluctantly went to her parents' house. On her way down the stair, I told her she was single now, so she could do whatever she wanted. I wasn't controlling her anymore. My lawyer would be in touch in January. When she turned to respond, I just slammed and locked the door. I later watched as she discussed it with her friends. They were telling her how strong she was, demanding what she was entitled to, how she deserved better than me. That it was empty threats from my side, that I wouldn't go through with it. You wanna bet? What really worried me was how they told her that if needed she could just accuse me of domestic offense. One of them explained how she had screwed over her ex-husband and taken everything from him by accusing him of offense. I have ordered cameras to put up at my house now. I know now I have to record everything. I just couldn't believe what I was seeing. I have never ever threatened her in any way. Then she started messaging her AP to meet up. They agreed to meet at a hotel. I was absolutely stunned. I went online trying to find the AP's wife. It didn't take long. I got her to accept me as a friend on Facebook, and I told her everything, including the ongoing activity at the hotel. She thanked me and hung up. A few hours later, I got a video from her. She went to the motel and confronted them. From the screaming, this wasn't the first time her husband had cheated. You ducking a-hole. You do this to me again? To the kids again. I told you we were over if you ever did this again. She walked into the room and filmed my wife getting dressed on the edge of the bed. I threw up when I saw that the first time. The AP's wife slapped her and cursed her out. I sent a message to my wife telling her that I saw the video from the hotel, and that I never want her near me ever again. It's like she sees our interaction as some sort of pissing competition, where she, in her mind, is winning. She's totally delusional? I can't understand any of it. It's like she isn't connected to reality? Like she doesn't really understand that we are divorcing? I logged on to my wife's family WhatsApp group and informed them that we are divorcing due to her infidelity. I thanked them for making me feel welcome and part of the family before disconnecting from the group. I have received a few calls and messages from her side, but I haven't read them or responded. I just don't have the energy for it. I called my parents and told them everything. My father messaged my wife that she wouldn't be welcome for Xmas. I am at my parents' now, and I have talked to my boss. He is giving me time off until mid-January to sort my things out. I have been monitoring my wife's increasingly frantic discussions with her new friends. I don't think it's dawned on my wife that she has lost her family, that her marriage is over, and that her new friends and her AP don't really give a crap about her. She has sent me many messages and she showed up at my parents' house, demanding to be allowed to celebrate Xmas with us. My father threatened to call the police if she didn't leave. Now I am Googling divorce lawyers, crying my soul out. I think I have been in shock, but but the pain has hit me hard since I got to my parents' house. I just can't make any sense of it. It just gives me so much pain to read their chats and interact with her. I have only responded twice to her messages. Me, it doesn't matter what you say, I don't know who you are. You are not my wife would never destroy my heart and soul while smiling. We will get a divorce. I don't care what you say or what you want. You have no influence or right to demand anything from me ever again. We are over. Me, like I said, you are not my wife, I don't know you. My wife would never condemn our children to the pain and suffering of growing up in a broken home. You, whoever you are, seem to be proud of what you have done. My wife was loving, caring, considerate, my best friend. You are a self-obsessed, self-absorbed abomination. The messages stopped after the last one. The pain is absolutely unbearable at times. I wish this never happened. I wish I could get back with her like before, but I just can't do that to myself. This is the worst Xmas ever. I couldn't help myself, but I explained to the kids that mommy doesn't want to be a family anymore, she wants to be with other men, and that we will get divorced. They are naturally distraught. Luckily, my mom and dad are here to help. They shower them with love and affection, while I am an absolute mess. I will try to get back on my feet for my kids' sake, but I am not going back to her ever. I wish I waited until after Xmas so I could get them straight into counseling. I don't know what happened, I just blurted it out when they asked about when their mother would come. I would never be able to look at myself in the mirror if I went back to her. The level of disrespect and callousness in her behavior is unforgivable. I am lost, I just don't get it. Why is it that she expects she can demand anything from me at this point? Is she mentally ill or something? Update. No one is the winner here, my wife has gone off the rails, and the entire train is burning in the ditch. I don't know what is wrong with her, she refuses to see a medical professionals for possible mental issues, and she is acting like nothing is wrong. Still she shows no remorse or regret, she acts like I am unreasonable for not just accepting whatever she wants, and she has hardly even talked to the kids since D-Day. I am divorcing her, taking action and moving forward with separating our lives because I have to. Her behavior has left me no choice, and by now there is no way back. I wish so much this wasn't necessary. I can never trust her ever again, and I cry myself to sleep every night for my own loss and the fact that my children will now grow up in a broken home. It also breaks my heart that my children in reality no longer have a functional relationship with their mother. Question? How do you answer this question from your child? Why doesn't mommy want to see me anymore? Doesn't she love me? How the heck do you answer that? If anyone knows, please let me know, because I sure as hell don't. Every day I wake up and tell myself that my heart is already smashed into so many broken pieces that it can't possibly break anymore. Only to be proven wrong all day, every day. My wife still doesn't know that I can monitor her communications, or she doesn't care. She is 100% convinced that I will never leave her, and that my reaction to her behavior is totally unjustified. She keeps talking badly to her friends. About me, our marriage, and our children. I don't understand why she hates us so much. We haven't done any of the things she accuses us of doing to her friends. As I mentioned before, my lawyer won a temporary restraining order against her. There was a hearing yesterday morning, and since there were no new direct threats, it wasn't extended. My lawyer suggested using the fact that she knowingly infected me as a threat to try to get her to agree to an undisputed divorce. I wish we could separate in a reasonable process. I hate the fact that I have to see her as the enemy and always assume the worst possible outcome. If she wanted to leave me, I would be able to live with that, but why force me into this extremely adversarial process? Why does she do her best to hurt the people that used to love her as much as possible in the process? What possible gains can she have from this? I would appreciate any insight on this. It just doesn't make any sense to me. If I go to court, I will probably have to pay her a lump sum for the equity in our house, etc. I will probably not be liable for alimony, and since she doesn't show any interest in the kids, I am hopeful I will win custody of them if it goes to court. Anyway, my lawyer suggested we try to get her agreement for an amicable divorce. I agreed, and we will meet with my STBXW and her representative hopefully this week. The ex-husband that was defrauded by the lying harpy spends New Year's Eve with me and the kids. The injustice of the justice system against fathers is just incredible. Now I have no delusions of receiving a fair process if we go to court. His ex lied her head off and the court just took it as fact. No proof whatsoever. He has hardly seen his children since he has been forced to pay unreasonable amounts of alimony and child support, and it's pretty much broken him. He has been contemplating ending things permanently. With the new evidence he gets from me, he has renewed hope. We both talked to my lawyer. She suggests he sits on the evidence until the meeting with my wife and her counsel. If he takes action now, it will show our hand that we have access to all their communications. My lawyer's goal is to divorce me and my wife as soon as possible, as smoothly as possible. Right now I just hope I can get away from her. If she decides to fight, it can drag on for a long time. It's stressing me out. I just need to get free. I will post an update if I get a meeting or if we go directly to a disputed process in court.